Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Volume 2 in Gianandrea Noseda's series of the complete Liszt tone poems. It's a lot of music, actually, because they're including the symphonies, which are also tone poems, too. I mean, in a way. The first one is the Faust Symphony, or the first symphony of this be included here. Actually, I think Dante was written first, wasn't it? Then Faust. Anyway, I don't care. It doesn't make any difference. Volume 2 has the Faust Symphony, and From the Cradle to the Grave, which is a very interesting work, a two-movement symphonic poemy thing, which is actually, it postdates the 12 numbered symphonic poems. And I like it. I think it actually, when it gets to the struggly part of the cradle, I mean, it happens in sort of like three sections. It's lots of tracks on this disc. How many have we got? 18, 19, 20. Yeah, three sections. And the middle section is like this struggle of life business. You know, you're born, and so it's like sweet and cute. And then there's a struggle of life business, and then a grave business, which is not so sweet and cute. And the struggle business reminds me a lot of Sibelius. I guess because it's got lots of string tremolos and things. It's very interesting work. 16 minutes long in three sections, so it's not crazy long. And it doesn't really have any of the longueurs that sometimes disfigure the earlier symphonic poems. I mean, it's really quite a good piece. And one of the few examples of a major orchestral work from this late period that we've got. So that's nice to have. And this is very well performed. It never dawdles. It makes perfect sense. Each section is well delineated and shaped, and it really does its thing. So good for that. But then we have the Faust Symphony. Ooh, baby. One of Liszt's very greatest but most problematic pieces. Really a fabulously revolutionary concept, which you probably have heard of by now. But if you haven't, what he does is each movement represents one of the characters in Goethe's Faust. You've got Faust, Gretchen or Marguerite, you know, the female love interest, and then Mephistopheles, Satan, the devil. He's always the most interesting part, but, you know, what do you expect? But each movement is a character sketch, except for Mephistopheles. Well, it's a character sketch, but what it is a distortion, a grotesque reworking of the first two movements of Faust and Gretchen, which is really brilliant. Of course, Berlioz did it all years earlier in the Symphonie Fantastique, but still, it's a remarkable piece. And most of the time, we hear it with the final chorus. You know, Liszt never could figure out how to end anything, and he did a setting of the chorus mysticus, the very end of Faust. Alles Vergängliche ist nur ein Gleichnis, das Unzugängliche hier wird Ereignis, das Unbeschreibliche hier ist getan, das ewig Weibliche sieht uns hinan. Right? We all know it by heart. Mahler said it at the end of his Eighth Symphony as well. Rather better, in my opinion, but that's okay. But he said it for male choir and tenor solo. And an organ comes popping in there too. But he also wrote the work so that it could be played without the chorus. That was his original conception. I have not heard a recording of it without the chorus since, who did it? Ataulfo Argenta did it without the chorus, an early Decca recording, and I've never seen it performed without the chorus because, you know, you really want to have a big ending, actually, if you can. But I like it without the chorus. I mean, first of all, it chops about 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes off of it, which is always a good thing with Liszt, usually. And to hear, you know, Mephistopheles do his thing, and then there's this just vaguely transfigured ending where it all calms down and it becomes luminous and, you know, all of that angelic and whatnot. And it's fine. It works absolutely fine. You know, the biggest problem with the Faust Symphony is Gretchen, the central movement, because she's so sweet and the music is so sappy and it's just hard to pull it off. I mean, there are basically two ways to do it. Like the Kurt Masur method, which is to play it really fast, or the Leonard Bernstein method, which is to just take it as it comes and revel in its sappiness. Either way works, actually. The opening Faust movement is very long. Usually it's about half an hour. And the nice thing about this performance is that it's all drawn to scale. The first movement is a few minutes quicker than usual, which works really well when we get to the heroic parts. Da 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 da. You know, there's that Faust theme. I mean, it's really exciting. Actually, it works really, really well. Gretchen is 18 minutes, which is tolerable. It really is. I still have a tendency to skip over that after the first 5 or 10 minutes. I've had more than enough, but others may disagree. And Mephistopheles, the whole movement with the transfigured ending without the chorus, is about 16 and a bit minutes. It works very, very well, especially because the movements this way get progressively shorter, so your attention isn't stressed the way it can be if the piece is drawn out too long. It's still a remarkable piece of music by any standard. The BBC Philharmonic plays very, very well, with more character than they usually do for most people. And this is, I think, a very successful release. And it's worth having for people who think the Faust Symphony ends with that rather, sort of, quasi-successful male chorus and tenor solo ending thing with the organ and whatnot. If you want to just not deal with the singing, this is a very good way to do it. You'll be quite happy. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.